Okay, y'all, we are going to do a lesson today about a brainstorming sheet. So the learning target that we've been focusing on for a week or two is called I Can Analyze How Setting Influences Character Development by Brainstorming, Planning, and Composing an Extended Constructive Response. Well, today we're focusing on the brainstorming aspect of it. What we're going to do is we're going to use our brainstorming to form an ECR. And if you follow the instructions and do everything you're supposed to be doing, your ECR is going to be really easy to write. Some of you were absent, but if you were here on Friday as a class, we brainstormed different character traits to describe Salva. So we, for example, we said like things like he was brave or he was hardworking or he was independent. And then after that activity, we brainstormed examples of where Salva showed these character traits. So, for example, when he moved to America, it showed that he was determined, right? Because he adapted to his environment. When he led the refugees, it showed that he was strong-willed and he was independent and he was a leader. So we used that time to come up with these different character traits, and then we used that time to come up with different examples of that in the story. Okay, so I'm going to move this paper over. So then you have your brainstorming sheet, right? And your brainstorming sheet is a paper that you're going to use to write your ECR, okay? And we determined in class on Friday that this blank right here, it's going to be the setting of war. Influence Salva's character development by making him. And this part of your brainstorming sheet is your thesis, right? And so we said that and it's really important that when you're trying to pick your character trait, that you pick one that you know that you can find some text evidence and prove in the story. So I always like the one independent because he kind of showed growth in this aspect. He changed over time. At first, he wasn't. Okay, so the setting of war influences Salva's character development by making him independent. Okay, now this is where you're going to try to think about how Salva's changed over time. So we know at the beginning of the story he wasn't quite independent. He was, I would say, before he was reliant. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go back and look in the story, and you're going to find a part of the story where you can prove that Salva was reliant on others, right? And the best way to do this, and the reason why we were so crazy about this in class, is to use your Map It. So I'm going to use my friend McKenna's Map It to help me with this because it's just so neat. Okay. So here's all the main parts in the book. So what is significant about this place? If you look at this, he was running from rebels. He was abandoned. He found his uncle. His friend died. So I used this information to try to find a part in the story where he was super reliant on others. And I think the biggest chapter that I see that is in chapter 6, because his uncle appears and then his friend dies. So he's like super I need help with everything. And he almost feels like he's like a little kid again, right? So it says after chapter 6. So that's what I would do is I would go look in the story. And I would find chapter 6 because that's where it's around. And I would look for a part of the text where it shows that he's being reliant on others and he's not being super independent. And I see this on page 35, and it says, Uncle was quiet for a moment, then he patted Salva's shoulder. Nephew, he said in a cheerful voice, we are together now, so I will look after you. So that's a great quote from Uncle. So I'm going back to my paper here. Oh, sorry, wrong paper. Okay, and I'm going to use where it says chapter 6, and then it states, we are together now. So I will look after you. Okay. Now we're going to show how he changed from being reliant to afterwards he was independent. Now, this is where we're trying to stretch our brains, and we can either use a thesaurus or we can try to think of a word ourselves. But I would say another word for independent is after he was, what is the word I'm looking for? After he became a leader. Okay. And so when I'm looking at that, I remember on my paper that we did together. Sorry, I have so many papers right now. Just give me a second. That he led a group of refugees, right? Okay, he led a group of refugees. And then you're like, well, where can I find that in the story? So you're going to go look in your map it again. And that was later in the book, so I'm going to go to my second map it. And I know that this was, it would help if I actually showed you all my paper. But it says he has left camp now. So this is the part of the story where he left and he had to go lead all those refugees. And it says after chapter 12. So then I'm going to go in my book for my story. I'm going to try to find chapter 12. And this is a part where he is being forced out of the river. So it's after chapter 12. And then I keep on reading chapter 14. I'm looking. Sometimes it's easy to find. Sometimes you're going to really have to go in the story and look for parts. Oh, I think I went too far. Oh, here he goes. Here's the part. He organized the group, giving everyone... Let me focus for y'all. He organized the group, giving a job scavenger for food, collecting fireworks, stand guard while the group slept. Okay? So, I'm going to go back to my story. And I'm going to copy that quote. Instead of saying chapter 6, I'm going to say on page 81, the author states he organized the group giving everyone a job. Okay, so I've got that. My main character trait said he's independent. Before he was reliant. And I'm going to put on others just to clarify. I said chapter 6 states we are together now, so I will look after you. And that was about his uncle. After he became a leader, on page 81, the author states he organized a group giving everyone a job. So it kind of shows that how he went from not being independent to being independent. Okay, so this is the part of the book, part of the activity where you're going to do it on your own. It's going to be a level 0 in here, and you're going to have to work on your own, and you're going to have to really search and dig and think. Okay, so you're going to pick one of these character traits. We can't do independent because we've already done that. Okay, so cross that out and pick one that you know that you can prove. And you're going to put that that character trait in that circle right there. And then you're going to do what we just did. You're going to think about a way that he was before and then how he developed after. And then you're going to go find text evidence to prove that. And then that's the activity for the day. It's sometimes hard, but use your Map It, look in the book, and just try your best. And me and Miss Sanchez will help you afterwards, but it's really important that you do this part on your own so we can see what you can do and what you need help with. Okay? Y'all have a great day. I hope this lesson helped you, and I will see y'all later.